Last week I was watching the film WarGames. Now this is a slightly old but really awesome film, one of the really good ones. And at a few points along this show they had a Defcon sign on the wall. Now this stands for Defence Condition and represents the readiness level of the US military. But ignoring that, it looks really cool. It's a kind of 5-stage coloured sign and kind of going 1 to 5. And it acts as a fairly kind of core plot point as the film goes through. And this type of sign also crops up in Stargate SG-1, which is one of my favourite TV shows. So I thought it'd be really fun to have a go making one of these. I toyed around with a couple of different ways to approach building this. And in the end, I opted for a simple approach of just using kind of scrap materials I had and not trying to make it perfect, not making it screen perfect. So I'm going to pop out these acrylic panels. Like I said, these have been cut to size and they should be the correct colours. And I've just been using them just to block the paint from getting inside. The acrylic comes with its protective layer, so it seems like it'd be a good job for this. So there you get a better picture of what's going on. There's little kind of rebates here for the acrylic to sit into. I haven't painted the inside white, it's just from the previous project, and I think I'm just going to leave it as is. That should do the job. So I ended up using the router table just to put kind of a rebate into all of these sides. The central uprights have got kind of a slightly narrower rebate on either side, and that gives me the kind of visible black part to kind of complete the look, whereas everything else has just kind of got roughly half of it taken out. And that means acrylic panels kind of fit in very nicely. So they're the 5 colours. Red and white I'm perfectly happy with. White's obviously white. The red came from my YouTube sign project and I think that's a fairly good match. Yellow I've had left around for a while and I think that's a fairly good match as well. Blue was new and I think that's roughly right. The green is the odd one out. It's a very, very vibrant green and I don't think it's a particularly good match. I do have a new green which has just arrived, so I'll see how that compares. So this is the new green that's turned up. It's not as dark as I was hoping for, but it is darker than the other one. So this sign is illuminated. Behind each of these coloured panels is a light bulb which kind of makes it glow, and that is basically the light that is selected or on. Back in the day when this was made for the film, it would have used incandescent light bulbs in here, and I had thought about trying to kind of match the original look and feel of it by using incandescent bulbs, but given the kind of make use of what I've got approach for everything else, I'm going to use WS2812 LEDs instead. Now I'm going to use these for a couple of reasons. The first one is I've got them already and they'll kind of sit down quite neatly inside. And the other important thing is I don't need a driver for these, they're integrated. So I can wire these all together on a single channel, feed it into a microcontroller and just have it working with no additional parts, no need for kind of driver circuits or switching on heavy loads. It's a rough approach but should work quite well. I finished wiring up all the LEDs. I've gone for a 4x3 kind of grid in each of the 5 compartments, and these are all connected together in series. So that gives me one kind of data channel to control them all. And because they're kind of WS2812 LEDs, I can individually kind of target each chunk of them. And at this end here, I've got a Spark Photon device. I've opted for this for 2 reasons. I need a microcontroller to control these, and I've also got an idea for what kind of data to display. So I need an internet connection effectively, and this will give me it in a really kind of simple and easy to use way. The Spark Photon is a 3.3 volt device, and so it's always slightly questionable running the kind of 5 volt kind of WS2812 LEDs from them, but I find in almost all cases it does work. It's probably kind of pushing the kind of tolerance limits of it, but it makes it incredibly easy to kind of connect up. I don't need to worry about level shifting, and certainly in this case it has worked out very well. At the moment I've just programmed it to turn the lights on in sequence. So if I plug it in, this device boots up pretty quickly, and you'll see it'll start to cycle through. So if I then put the acrylic covers back on, the effect works very well. I wasn't quite sure whether it would be kind of dark or bright or what the end result would be, but I am very pleased with what I'm seeing. So the one bit that's left for me to do now is to number these. And I've got a vinyl cutter which I bought a few months back but haven't used very much, so I can see if I can cut out some numbers from that, and hopefully that will kind of finish the look of the light. The numbers are all in and it's looking even better. I'm getting more and more pleased with the final look and appearance of this all the time. For something that's a very quick kind of scrap project, it's turned out to be something I'm really quite pleased with. The vinyl cutters worked perfectly. The font, I think I've matched it. I'm pretty sure it's Helvetica. It certainly looks like that from the screen captures from the WarGames film. And they've been cut out in roughly the right kind of scale or size, and they've got on pretty decently as well. The final piece of the puzzle with this project is what to display on it, what to use it for. Obviously it does look quite cool just cycling through the different colours like this, but it'd be nice if it could do something useful. I imagine there might be a data feed for the US kind of Defcon level, but it's not a hugely useful thing. But thankfully, in the UK, we have a kind of security threat level, which very handily has 5 different states to it. It's not a number system, it's more kind of severe, imminent, that kind of thing, but that will, I think, equate nicely to this. MI5 provides an RSS feed for that, so all I need to do is try and translate that into one of these kind of numbers, and hopefully I can do that with the particle web interface. So it's taken a few hours of work to try and get the code operational, but it is now up and running. It's connecting to the kind of MI5's RSS feed, which kind of has information on the current security level, passes that down into a 1 to 5 number, and you can see we've got number 2 illuminated. So I've finished the light. It is looking really awesome, a lot better than I was expecting from this project. It's, it kind of came together really nicely. It's connected via Wi-Fi, just plugs in with one simple USB connection. It's a really nice little kind of self-contained unit. And it's not just for aesthetics, it's displaying some real information. Not hugely useful information, mind you, but it's still kind of better than just something that cycles through some lights.